Nice to meet you. Hey guys, okay, double checking. Mic is working. I've hit that button correctly this time. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm a little late because I literally forgot to eat. So sorry for that. In the long run, I think it's probably the best thing to push the stream back 2 hours, but I'll announce the exact date when that switch will happen. So definitely follow, definitely hit that that bell and the follow button to get notified. I'll post it in the community, and I'll also announce it everywhere I can, like on Facebook and Instagram and all that. Yeah, also Twitter, even though we only have 400 followers. Oh, speaking about, I should let people know that we're live. Yeah, also apparently it's not really telling anybody that I'm live. So I have a bot that should spam my Discord that I'm live, but it doesn't, so I just had to manually do that. And yeah, today I want to switch it up a bit. We have been working on the Noise Marine lately for the last streams, but since it's more, it has become a bit of a Q&A, which is fine, which is perfectly fine, and which is what the Monday streams are intended for. So the progress wasn't that overwhelming, and we have been moving slow, but that's fine. I just want to switch it up. It has been like 4 streams for the Noise Marine. I'm just going to continue on this guy. You can see I already did some sketching there, so I just want to continue that. And I actually tried to come up with the finished scheme, the finished intensity, the finished contrast. Yeah, just to see where we want to go. I might be taking that a tiny bit more intense, so that just like with the what is it, the Yellow Marine.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Ghosted Wolf, thanks for joining the nation. Welcome. Yeah, just so that the feeling of being a metallic reflective surface is going to be there. You can see I feel like we have that a bit with the added scratches, and yeah, just light gray scratches, but I just want to intensify that even more. Just to have the feeling of, I guess with the Imperial Fist Marine, that also kind of came out looking metallic, even though it's just yellows and brown tones and orange tones. So I want to do that. Also, I think I want to go metallics this time, just for the sake of doing maybe an Aviadan metal video about metallics. So yeah, let's see who's here. Hey Tom Braun, hey Stumper MML, hey Philip Wills, who else did I miss? Hey Unreich, hey Beefy Jaguar. How am I? I'm fine, thank you. Just having a bit of online blues, I guess. And yeah, I mean, that was just not the reason for the title, but the title is actually, the reason for the title is actually that we're painting a blue Space Marine. But it seems like I have stepped on a few people's toes, because I was saying in my podcast description that this is the first miniature painting podcast on YouTube, and people have been really felt stepped on their toes because I said that. So I'm at a point where I quit painting for a long time, because there was a period where I just felt this community is a bit weird, where everyone is super friendly in your face, and really not all that friendly behind your back. It's like, yeah, when someone is standing in your group and then they're like, yeah, nice, and so on, and then once they leave, they're like, did you see what he did? You know, and that I get that feeling right now a bit. Of course, I get it. I said I'm the first, or this was the first podcast of its kind on YouTube, and people freaked out and were thinking I'm downplaying what they did with their podcasts for years. But that's just, you know, I just want to create content for people that enjoy it. And I really don't want to get caught up in drama like that anymore. So I have to, you know, kind of ignore that again and just do what I do. And if someone feels offended, they should feel free to step forward and talk to me. But I don't want to find out like that, you know, behind my back, if that makes sense. Because that's annoying and that's not how human beings should behave. Or at least, you know, I don't know, in my opinion. Yeah, so I've been dealing with that a bit, and that was annoying. And it was distracting me from painting, which it's the only thing I really want to do, besides creating content that people might find interesting. So we'll totally go back to that. Another thing that I forgot is the actual recipe for this. Maybe I should go back to and watch the video. It's kind of too late right now. Pretty sure it was those two colors for the base. Hey, Sunlocked. Oh, midterms tomorrow. Good luck for that. Hey, Teardrama. Hey, Geezer UK. Thank you, Geezer. Yeah, I really enjoyed the podcast too. I got a bit bummed out because during the first day there was like 200 views on it. I think it is now at 1,100. Oh wait, we are missing the palette cam. Yeah, the podcast didn't do that well compared to my other videos, but I guess it's because it's a new format, and yeah, people might not be used to it, but it was super fun to do, and I think we definitely hit some interesting topics, and I'm totally also going to continue it. You know, maybe we have to invite some big names. Maybe we have to find some big names just to get it out there. But I always said I don't want to do a podcast for the big names. I want to do it for interesting topics, and we certainly hit some interesting topics, and it was really interesting to talk about all these things, how they changed over the years. I think I actually want to do a follow-up video on it too. Gave me a lot of new ideas. And I'm looking forward to the second one with Pirate Monkey painting, because that's also going to be really interesting and something that hasn't really been talked about in that, you know, direction when we are going to talk about competitions and how they differ all over the world and how different people are. Yeah, just approaching going to competition. So let's see. Like I said, this is going to be a bit painful to watch because I'm trying to recreate the recipe, but it was something like that. Oh, hey, Maple Leaf Magic. Name fixed at last. Just paint, who cares? Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess it's by definition going to be different when you put yourself out there and create content for everyone to see and for everyone to criticize. So yeah, I mean, again, it's not like my channel is all that well known yet. We're only at 14k subs so far, but if it's already starting to feel like, you know, back when in the early 2000s when I was super involved with the community, yeah, it's just, you know, I just have flashbacks to that time that I really didn't want to have. So, this is my base blue. A bit stressed over your midterms. I mean, I can understand, I guess. So, shouldn't you be, you know, mom mode on? Shouldn't you be studying instead of watching? Are Reaper paints my favorite? Yeah, at the moment they are. At the moment they are. So, I mean, I can tell a story. When I came back to miniature painting, I was on a break for like 3 years. Because I started to work, started to teach, and it was, yeah, just super stressful, and I had to prepare all my classes and all that, and I was teaching longer hours than you're supposed to, so the painting took a bit of a backseat. And I came back in 2013 after I did have a break of like 3 years. And I was going to Golden Demon and was entering 11 categories, so I was going super hard. And I tried to find colors that are matte because I really don't like to spray over the results that I have to use a matte finish, or to get a matte finish. Because so much can go wrong there. So I was looking for matte colors, and I found scale colors. Okay, should be able to relax for a few hours here. Yeah, I guess so. So it's always good to take a step back and do some chillaxing when you're studying. Yeah, so the scale colors did turn out really, really matte, but they just have this. I mean, people are saying it's a different medium. It's like a gel medium. I don't know if that is necessarily what it is different about them. Could be bro science too, but in the end they just behaved way different than what I was used to back when I was using Citadel colors. I was using mostly Citadel and Vallejo colors, so the Vallejos and also the Citadels had a lot better coverage. So since I took a break, I wasn't really aware of that fact, and I was thinking, I, you know, forgot how to paint because what I did isn't working anymore. So it was a bit of a struggle to get consistent layers and intensity with the scale colors, at least with the reds and the greens. I think everyone who used those colors can relate. Yeah, so I bought almost the whole collection of scale colors, which I do regret a bit right now. But you know, when I was trying Citadel again, because there's some color tones that you cannot get from scale color, yeah, I felt like, okay, yeah, this all makes sense now. It's the colors that are different, not me. I didn't forget how to paint. It's the actual colors that I'm using. So I was talking to Kirill Kanaev during his class, and he's painting everything with Reaper colors. So it made sense to try it. And yeah, I stuck with them so far. And I really like them. They are they're coming off of the brush a bit more difficult, at least some colors. So that's something you have to adapt to. But in the end, they are just exactly what I'm looking for. It doesn't mean that the other paints are bad colors. Can you guys see that? Palette flickering, that's a bit annoying. Let me just fix that quickly, and then we're good to go painting. Palette cam. Oh no. Okay, I think that's a bit better. Yeah, sorry for that. Hey Cujo, hey Orcrist. How's it going, guys? Hey, Mero, I didn't see you, sorry. Someone did now is angry. These things are so annoying. Yeah, they are. It's totally taking away the energy that you should be investing into creating content and painting. I've just gotten so upset to applying layers in thin coats that I never noticed. About the scale colors? Oh, when I went from arming pages. Yeah, exactly. It's live this time. Yeah, Kujo, last time I got you good. Yeah, it's just when I accumulate like 4 streams, I usually just do a rerun on a weekend. Because it's, in the end, it is, you know, exposure, you are on the platform. And yeah, new people can find you. Which, you know, in the end, social media and content creation and all that is about getting exposure and being found and getting an audience. Yeah. Scale 75 reminds me of Raw Parta. The dry powdery. I guess that's summing it up pretty accurate. Yeah. I'm not sure if I tried the Raw Parta paints though. I might have, but that's probably been like 12 years ago. Hey, Eater Managers, Squig is on the way. Oh, great, thank you. Thanks a lot for that. It's fine, it's not like I'm in a rush or anything. Second blue looks super... What? Supper? Hey, it's Combros, Kongansho. I'm pretty sure I butchered that name. Have you found that Scale Color Fantasy Range uses its matte quality? Yeah, they do. They are way more glossy. They're old, yeah, exactly. I mean, Raw Parter, they also had miniatures, right? I think they did. Okay, let's see. Pretty sure I did some of this. I don't know, it's kind of stupid to mix your base tone that much, but I wanted some of that, what is it, like deep sea? No, deep ocean. A blue in there. So now we just have to find that blue again. Also, we were way ahead already. Maybe start like this as our sketching color. Maybe even more. I've seen, who was it? I think Darren Latham's Blue Marine. And he's just doing, you know, sketching and then toning down everything with, what is it, washes. So I definitely do want to try that approach. Well, I did that with the black Marine, the Marine Captain in the Eviaden Metal video. But I also, you know, it has been my preferred way of painting black. I should definitely also try that with some different colors. Let's see, okay. Yeah, looks about right. Probably a bit more blue than the other highlight color, which turned out a bit more gray, but it's okay. Just having a bit of a color variation doesn't really bother me that much at the moment. Hey, Plastic Savior. Is this a Crimson Fist? Yeah, I want to do an Eviaden Metal episode about a Crimson Fist. I just want to cover all Space Marines, because apparently Space Marines are doing really good. I mean, the Imperial Fist video did get 20k views. I just, you know, I need more followers on YouTube. It is what it is. And I need people to find me. And sometimes I do have to do content that is more asked for, so I can also do the content that I want to do. I mean, for example, it seems like people are usually only watching for the medium level painting videos, as in, you know, just pushing yourself a tiny bit above edge highlighting and stuff like that. They're not really interested in my painting philosophy as a whole, you know, the miniature, wait, what is it? No, tabletop minion style videos that everyone is what is a good word to use there? Binging, or that they're really hyped about. I feel like, you know, I have some interesting things to say in that regard as far as painting inspiration goes, but those are not doing too well. The last one did okay, got about 4K views, but you know, you have to create a few evergreen videos that people just come to and find, and I guess that's what I'm trying to do now. Yeah, you know, having accepted it also made it a lot easier to do, because it doesn't feel like it just feels right again to do those videos. And if the result is that all the other videos that I really want to do are getting additional exposure to, then that's fine, I guess. And it's not like everyone else cares about, you know, the ethical aspect of making videos or whatever. Just doing the videos that you really enjoy. I guess that's kind of the nature of YouTube too. I am painting the new Abaddon. I thought about it. I still don't know how it looks. I'm a tiny bit afraid. Is there a final picture out there already? I'm a tiny bit afraid that I might not like it, but I only saw the preview videos, or the preview video, or the pictures that have been taken out of the preview video, so I don't know yet. In use for my army, my destroyers should be coming soon, along with the spider I'll be converting into a destroyer. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been getting back into converting too, simply because I want to paint this Lord of Contagion out for the games day. So what I'm probably going to do, since when he's holding his axe like this, you cannot really see all the stuff that's going on there, like on his belly and all that, and I think that can be a good eye catcher with intense colors. So what I'm going to try to do is give him a plasma pistol in this hand. That shouldn't take too much effort, but then sort of switch around his axe and maybe so that he's holding it like that. And I also did get rid of all the extra detail back here. So yeah, it has been fun. You know, I have kind of adopted that mindset of trying not to do too many conversions for game stays, because people or the judges don't really acknowledge it anyway. Doesn't matter in the grand scheme. However, if I feel it improves the miniature, then I should totally get back into converting. So it's fun, and we'll see whether or not it's going to be in time for the UK Golden Demon. But yeah, it's just going to be a fun project again. Space Marines are the cash cow. Hey Sidlik, I've been liking getting my blacks from reds lately. I'm not sure what that means. Is that a brand thing? What is my mix when you glaze wet blend with scale 75 colors? So Wet blending with scale colors I cannot recommend. I was doing that on my Griff charger. You can see, I think you can see it in the video, unless that is like the first Patreon video that I did, but there's a few Griff charger videos still on my YouTube. If you look through that, try to search for the part where I'm trying to wet blend the base colors. And I thought back then that I am, you know, that I lost my marbles and that I cannot paint anymore, because I knew how to do wet blending, but with scale colors it just didn't work at all. It was super weird. Yeah. Okay, I think I want a lighter color here. So I would not recommend wet blending with scale colors. Typically for base colors I do blend with undiluted colors, so just out of the bottle or out of the dropper bottle or out of the paint pot, and that didn't work with the scale colors. So for glazing, it's so hard to tell. I have a lot of videos about, I have one blending and or layering and glazing video on YouTube that should give you pointers, and I've also made a Patreon video about my painting basics and all the, you know, the reason why I cannot really say how much my ratio is for diluting, and that means I literally cannot say it, because I do it more or less automatically, and it's also not that much of a big deal if I do too much, because what I do is I just go back in and correct it. You know, that's not really in my conscious thought anymore. How much do I need to put in there? How much water do I need to put in there? I just do it, and I know that's kind of frustrating, but I really recommend that you try to, well, it's frustrating as someone who starts out with painting to hear that, but like I said, I really recommend that people try that. Just, you know, not being afraid to make mistakes, because if you feel like, okay, I'm applying a layer here and that is too intense, what can I do to reduce the intensity? And the simple answer is just try to find a consistency that when you glaze over this whole thing tones the lighter area down and increases, tones the lighter area down and brings the darker area back up, or a bit lighter, so that they blend together, and then that's fixed. And the more you can automate that, the better, the faster you're going to get good results. I really want people to to take, if they want to get better at painting, I really want them to take that approach instead of clinging too much to a dilution pattern or a dilution ratio. The poster boys for the game Space Marines, yeah. Even if I prefer most of the Xenos. I do want to get to paint my Gene Stealers. The new box set coming out called Spearhead, brand new models of Space Marines, the whole box. Yeah, is it Chaos and Loyalists? If you want views showing how to paint something for 100 hours isn't what general public is into. Yeah, exactly. I think that's what the painting would have ran into. Totally. I think people watch Tabletop Minions videos more for the tone of his voice rather than the content. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Honestly. Because, yeah, I mean, obviously his painting videos have been doing really well, and there were videos where, you know, he didn't even paint a single line. Assuming it's a good model, it will be, yeah, totally. I totally want to paint Abaddon if it's a good one. I do. Okay, let me just catch up on chat. Small conversions can improve. Massive conversions might take the model to a bad promotion. Yeah, I guess that sums it up pretty good. Scale color don't cover well enough to do wet blending. Exactly. I was losing my marbles. No, definitely not. I'm going to try and make something along those lines. Oh, I see. Wait, but that is... Isn't that a model you could buy? Or is that a conversion too? Alright. Tabletop minions is like listening to your dad talk about miniatures, I guess. I think I was super unaware about what he did for the community. So isn't he doing a lot of tournament organization, and I don't know, he was working for a magazine or something like that? Or some distributor, I don't know, something like that. I'm totally pulling stuff out of my behind. Okay, this should probably shift the color tone, yeah, towards more bright blue. Like I said, I think I want to experiment with that. I'm a busy Thursday. If we can do it before, so my yoga session starts at, I have to leave for a yoga session at 1600 at 4 p.m. my time. If we can work out anything before that, then that would work for me. Because I'm gone for the rest of that evening. Because we're going to see a movie after that. If we are talking about your Patreon feedback session, which I guess we are. And hi Howdy, by the way. He has that he has what's his face on his show now. Yeah, he has semblance now. Which I think there's good painters and I think there's good teachers, so just being a good painter alone doesn't make for a good teacher. The base is the Canoptech spider, and the guy just put the head on torso of a lord onto it. Oh, okay, I see.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Diabolic Butterfly, thanks for joining the main shalik. Welcome. That's why I'm here. Thanks for the compliment. But yeah, I mean, it's and has been my focus to try and bring a bit of comprehensibility to teaching miniature painting. I mean, obviously there's a lot of people that are good at it too, but I kind of feel like YouTube is lacking a bit in that department. Good teachers, for example, Roman Lepard is a really good teacher. If you can get if you can do one of his classes, I would totally do that. Also pretty similar to my painting philosophy, even though we have different approaches to painting. But yeah, the philosophy is still very similar. Got to admit, I haven't taken that many classes, so I don't know who else might be a good teacher. But yeah, just from the classes that I took, it has become evident that just being a good painter doesn't always make for a good teacher. I guess that's true with everything. Just, you know, being great at sports doesn't mean you're going to be a good sports teacher, and so on. It's a totally different skill set. Hey Mario, you said you will stream later. How dare you? Awesome work though. So yeah, forgiven. Thanks. Yeah, you weren't there in the beginning. I said I want to push it back 2 hours. It's probably the best. Also, I've been doing a poll in the community section of YouTube, and people have said, yeah, later is better. I think by 20 to 21 to 32 or 36, something like that. Something about that margin.
Nice to meet you.
Yoshi Isa, thanks for following. Welcome. Yeah, and I just want to reach, it's the same as with videos. I just want to reach as many people as possible, obviously. And the main reason why I cannot really stream any later is that obviously we only have a 2-room apartment, and I don't want to force my girlfriend not to be in the room and do whatever she wants to do, like watch a show when she comes home from work and so on. And obviously I also want to spend time with her when she comes home. So I'm trying to get the streaming, or I always try to get the streaming in earlier than that, so before she comes home. But it just turns out that the streaming times that I chose were not really good. So like a year ago, or even, is it longer by now? I think it's even longer by now. When I tried to stream full time, I did 11 a.m. my time, and that was just horrible. That was very early morning for the US people. Yeah, just during working times for the EU people and so on, it was just not feasible. And now this 1600 my time, 4 p.m. my time did sound good, but I think it can be optimized by pushing it back like 2 hours more. Right, I just want to establish the reflections here, and we will care about blending it together later. Again, I'm just trying to bring that metallic feeling out. So, or you know, metallic, slightly metallic feeling. Can't really describe it, but there's this certain look that I want to achieve. Friday's better. I could do 8 or 9 in the morning. Yeah. Wait, this Friday. That's the 15th. Let me check my schedule quickly. But that sounds fine, actually. That does sound fine, in fact. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. Can you hit me up on Discord so that we can, you know, so that I have the date just saved, because I will probably forget while streaming. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that session again. Also, let me know what you want to do. And if by chance anyone that's listening is interested in a patron feedback session, I do have 2 slots open. That's 40 hours of feedback for the $30 pledge level. Obviously gives you access to all the videos and PDFs and all that. And additionally gives you 40 minutes of FaceTime. Right, so we are, yeah, so I guess that's a good time to talk about chalkiness, because when you are moving too fast with adding color, then the intensity or the pigments of the lighter color can be too steep, or the transition in pigment amount can be too steep, and the more white that is in your color, the worse your feeling of chalkiness is going to be, simply because it's just one step too much maybe, so you kind of want to tone that down. But here I'm not too worried. Like I said, we are going to take a bit of a different approach by going back in and toning it down. So I'm not too worried if my transitions get worse right now. Hey Bunatics. Oh wait, hey Bunatics. I thought you were someone else. Just like that one time when I met you in the subway. How's it going? Long time no see. Hey Science Arts. Bias Combros. Thanks for tuning in. Excuse my English, I'm Spanish and I do not speak it very well. We also have a war game channel. Well, there you go. Go check Escombros out. Thanks for tuning in. He had to put someone on his channel that actually paints. Both times suck. I know, it's just very late for you and very, very late, right? But yeah, I'm really sorry for that. It's just seems to be, you know, by public opinion and also by statistics, seems to be the best time to do it. And like I said, I just want to reach as many people as possible. Obviously. Are you going to paint the latest Primaris 10 and they teased? Yeah, we've been talking about it. It depends a bit whether or not I'm actually going to like the model. Right now I don't like it, but we haven't seen much. So that's, you know, a bit of a stretch. Saying I don't like it so far. But yeah, if I like it, I'm going to paint it. I also want to paint that word bearer case marine. Is that, by the way, I don't think that's a new model. Hasn't that model been out or announced at least somewhere in the past already? That one looks interesting, and just yeah, maybe also make a video about it and doing reds. I have not really made all that many videos about painting reds so far. Okay, thank you, Howdy. 14 hours of feedback sounds like a lot. Did I say 40 hours?
The hobby.
Oh my god.
Again.
Thank you, Banatix, for joining the All-Star team. And yeah, enjoy the PDFs. So don't forget that you can join my Discord when you are a Twitch subscriber. I mean, you can always join my Discord, but obviously you do get access to all the channels. And you also do get access to the PDFs that I upload monthly to the painting guides. So you know, if you want to get back into painting, then maybe they can be a bit inspirational. But yeah, didn't you buy some miniatures and not that long ago? I mean, by now it might be long ago again. I forgot what we said there, or whether or not I'm making that up. Stream earlier. I use purely water and paints,
Hey, I'm
no
not
retarders.
surprised, motherfuckers.
Yeah, definitely. Nothing like that. Just paint and water. Nubicon, thanks for joining the Major League. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, just also no medium, no glaze medium or anything like that. Some people might find it better to paint with a glaze medium. I think Miniac had a video about that, where glaze medium looked really good, but yeah, just, you know, in the end it's just experience, and I like to paint with with as little as additional steps that I have to do apart from applying pigment to the actual miniature as possible. That's also one reason why I personally don't like airbrushing, and I don't mean the results, but the actual steps to prepare, you know, the paint that you want to apply and so on. I know you have to stream at these times, but I'm still rumpy. Ah, that's fine. You already forgot me. That's true. Yeah, I'm considering buying that fairy card. I'm not quite sure whether or not I needed that urgently. So what do scale 75 excel at? We have established that code for glazing, wet blending, and not great for base coating. I mean, the thing is, when you know how to paint and when you know the properties of a color and so on, there's ways around everything. It's just a matter of how much work do you want to put into making the paints work. And obviously, I also want to say that not all scale colors are necessarily bad, as in having all these weird properties. it's the greens and reds that are especially bad. One person that paints, I think, exclusively with scale colors is David Soper, and he's, you know, constantly winning Slayer Swords with his miniatures. So obviously you can get good results, but for convenience sake, I don't, you know, I don't use them. Also, like I said, some colors are just outright worse than others. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is still that they are matte, that they are not trying satin or glossy. And yeah, so for example here, if you look at this area, so I don't want, if the color was glossy, there would be a line, a reflection running across what I painted, and just, you know, when I stop here, then you can't really see my shadows because there's a glossy artificial highlight there, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. So I lost my train of thought. That's why I want matte finishes. I think that was the point. About the last one, when wait. Oh, when Primaris Marines came out last year. Okay, so you got a couple of Marines. What brand of paints am I using these days? So I still use all of them. For example, this blue here, the scale color blue, is still fine for some things. For some recipes, if you go back a bit and check out all the content that I have on the duel that I painted for the games day, I did paint a cloak by Stormcast with that blue, just because I like the color intensity. Then I also do use Citadel colors, what is it? Most of my brain is not working anymore. Most of the Imperial Fist Marine is painted with Citadel colors, but the bulk of my colors nowadays is Reaper colors. So this is all Reaper colors, everything that's on my palette at the moment. And yeah, for the same reason, they do dry matte and there's no shine to them, no artificial highlights. I will say the blues are just a tiny bit off in that regard, but it seems like once they completely dry, the effect also, I mean, you can somewhat see it on the shoulder pad, on the shoulder guard. If I turn it around, there's a bit of an artificial highlight. But I guess it's just the really dark blues, they have that a bit. We'll see. So far, only the blues have not been 100% convincing. But that is, you know, on a really high level. Like whining on a really high level. Hey Robocop. Scale 75 have a Kickstarter running for the new artist line of acrylics. I'm not interested in those, no. I don't know what the... I mean, for the longest time, companies have made us think we need to buy the whole range. 200 colors, 250 colors, all of that. And now they make us think, you know, a couple of artist colors is all that you need. It feels, you know, just weird. It feels weird in a way. I guess it could be interesting to experiment with them if they are more intense than maybe the odd color that you can get from a paint set. You know, from a miniature paint set. But in general, I'm not really all that interested in them. I don't feel that for my style of painting I need them. I guess it's more if you want to be super expressive with your painting, then it could be interesting. I definitely don't think anyone that's painting armies needs them. Did I finish the Noise Marine? Not yet. I just wanted to switch it up a bit. Just do something else. I mean, obviously the Monday streams are supposed to be about the interaction and the Q&A and all that. I just, you know, we did it for 4 streams now, so I kind of want to do something else in between. Oh no. Anyone want to buy a new scale 75 paint set of me? Yeah, so someone said yesterday on my Discord, and they've not been complaining, but obviously I did recommend the scale 75 set in the past, and they said, yo, I bought them because of you, and then I said, I'm really sorry. Yeah, but I was really convinced that those colors, well, that it's not the colors, but that it's me that just needs to get good again. But I just was blinded by all the madness, pun intended. Yeah, by those, or of those colors. I mean, they're still okay colors. It's not like I said, it depends on how you treat them and whether or not you're fine with maybe having to invest 1 or 2 layers more in both your glazing and your base colors and all of that. And again, there's a lot of people, like I said, David Soper is a good example, that is pretty happy with those colors. Alright, working on those transitions. Like I said, if it's too rough of a transition, I just take a mid-tone and go over that. Still looks a bit chalky, but I guess it's okay. Like I said, gotta use some love and chemistry 101. Patience, yeah. should add some bounce lights, some secondary lights here. Just do something interesting with it. I don't blame you. Thanks for that. Do you have a color for the belt pockets in mind? I don't know. I thought about doing them black, but then again, just black on really dark blue. I don't know if that is a good idea. I haven't really decided yet so far, no. Getting carried away a bit here. How about the yellow Batman belt? Let me think about that. Don't call us. We're going to call you. Yeah, so I've been looking into buying a standing desk. I think that should be better for my back with painting a lot and also with streaming. So I'm looking forward to getting that one. Just the whole the whole sitting I do from day to day, it's just kind of annoying. I've been seeing people put treadmills under their standing desks. That would probably not work for painting, but maybe for editing, yeah, that could be interesting. Have you painted anything from, say, Age of Sigma, like Archon on that big? Do you mean just something by or from Age of Sigma in general, or something large by or from the Age of Sigma line? I thought about painting the Lord of Change, but in general I feel like these miniatures are just too big for my taste. I'm already getting lost in smaller miniatures. I'm not sure if I should tackle the detail of these larger ones. Yeah, I also have a Moriarty or whatever you spell, however you pronounce her. I might be painting that one just to refresh my airbrushing skills, but we'll see. Also, it's a bit, those are kind of expensive. and I don't want to invest that much money into buying miniatures at the moment. I'm just, even for the game stay, I'm trying to stay, or I'm trying to do miniatures that I have at home. I'm just on a bit of a tight schedule at the moment. Not schedule, budget. And then it feels a bit of an investment to buy these large figures just to paint them, you know, quote unquote, just to paint them, of course. That's the way I see too big. I mean, they're interesting, right? And they offer a lot of room for creativity. So I'll definitely do one in the future, but right now I feel like if I want to paint something larger, I will probably do large scales or larger scales. So I don't really like the sculpt of this shark after all. It looks a bit too childish and not as refined as it could have been. You know, with the detail not really looking all that good, just the way some veins work here, or some parts are just really rushed. Maybe just cut into with a hobby knife, or the fold work down here is just really basic. But I'm looking forward to just, you know, doing wet blending on the larger parts and just playing with the volumes and the light situation. So for these really large Warhammer models, usually what I want to do is paint them up to a standard where I could enter them into a competition, into a Golden Demon. Where on these guys, I just want to, you know, paint fast and loose, and then don't care that much about the finished result, just having fun while painting. I guess that's also a factor why I'm not getting the large models by Games Workshop. Bigger miniatures, it's do one from Creature Caster. Yeah, that's the same problem though, right? I don't really have the funds at the moment. And he never, you know, he was giving out sponsorships, I want to say maybe a year ago, also while I was still streaming full time, and they never really approached me, so I didn't get in on that wave of streamers receiving handouts. So yeah, it's not really in my budget at the moment to get one just like that. Just trying to place all my highlights correctly, or, you know, credibly, because correctly is not really, I mean, what's correct in putting those highlights down? It's not correct if you move it 0.5 millimeter to the side. I've been enjoying my practice on wet blending night haunts. Yeah, I also want to get me some night haunts, but same problem. I think it's I maybe would have to bum one from someone. I don't want to get a complete box. Just I would definitely want to paint one of them, but I don't want to get a complete box. Wait, are we talking about the guys that are basically just flying bed sheets? Reaper paints are made in Texas. Texas? I think they are. They do have distribution in the UK though. I switched the mold to making myself. I switched the mold to making myself use oil paints on it. Oh, okay. It seems like those type might work best for wild experimentation. I mean, I guess, yeah, I don't know. Do you have the patience to let them dry in between? Because oils, I don't really consider oils to be fast and loose type material or medium. While they are during the application, say weathering for example, you can totally go crazy on that. But I don't think, for example, on a face, you would probably not go really loose. You would have to work carefully and methodically and slowly. I don't know. Maybe I'm misunderstanding how you want to use them. Speaking about fast and loose, I think it's time to just add those reflections a bit faster and looser. Be right back. Do you ever do Imperial Guard or some of the older 2013 Tech Marine era stuff? I did do some. I did win a silver golden demon. When was it? In October last year, with some Imperial Guard stuff. I mean, it was Krieg to be more precise. But if you check out my Instagram, then you can see that. I'm not quite sure what TAC Marine era stuff means. Hi, I made a sculpture of the Imperial Fist in ZBrush today. Can you give me your opinion? I want to print it out in 3D. Yeah, sure. Link it. And not quite sure about this leg, whether or not I like the reflection pattern, but I think we'll just run with it. Tactical Marines, not Primaris. Yeah, I don't really remember doing. Hold on. I don't really remember doing one of the older Marines. I only did 30k. Is it 30k? Space Marine from Forge World, like this one. The problem that I had with the old Space Marines was more like the posing, and I didn't like the way that their legs just kind of don't work. So this one, edit this one. Wait, I need to close a few windows. Doom, okay, so here it is. Yeah, I mean, I think it looks interesting. How long are you doing this? It's been 30 days since I started 3D modeling. Okay, yeah, so 30 days into it. Looks pretty good for that, I think. I don't know, and I don't know much about ZBrush. I guess you can just work on trying to get your lines a bit more consistent. So these might be, you know, a bit of a pain to clean up when you print it. Yeah, I mean, obviously some details are still a bit rough. So for example here, there's no distinction. And the elements of the hand, obviously. But yeah, overall, not bad for 30 days studying ZBrush. Like I said, I don't really, I'm not that much into 3D sculpting. I prefer the traditional mediums, so I can't really comment all that much on it. But yeah, I mean, obviously good achievement just a few days into learning ZBrush. Yeah, I can't really write my opinion right now because I'm streaming, you know. You can always write me a PM on Discord, for example, if you want more in-depth feedback, I guess. Trying to drive, watching the stream, and typing his arm. Hope I don't crash. Uh-oh. I hope he didn't crash. Hey Slippery, how's it going? Right, I think maybe... So this was my first approach. I feel like there's a lot less light going on. I kind of like that better because, for example, here there's not a lot of that mid-tone anymore. Maybe I'll just try toning that down before we get back into shading. So right now I'm just trying to find the overall composition and values of the colors. Just saw the Creek 2, Creek are amazing sculpt, just the pain and the, yeah, exactly. Cleaning them up is quite annoying. I mean, I guess any, what is it, any Forge World model kinda sucks a bit to clean up because the resin is a bit weird, I want to say. Do you have a favorite painter? Said bad with names. I mean, I did like, obviously, the approaches of the Spanish, where they just, you know, paint a bit faster, more focus on drama and not so much smoothness. So Antonio Peña and what's his name? Sergio Calvo. That I found interesting simply because it's something different. Don't know anyone else, right? You know, just being asked like that. In the past, like Alan Carrasco, it's not painting that much anymore, only sculpting. So yeah, that's my very short list. Oh, because there's a tiny, yeah, that's true. All the elements of the uniforms. And the little gas mask detail and all that. It's coming back to me. Someone's pissed I didn't do the dishes. Oh well, I did do them, I just didn't empty the dishwasher. Right, just again, trying to find the values, going back and forth on it. Obviously more emphasis on the edges. Emptying dishes and doing dishes are two different things. Jealousy needs to be more specific. I mean, it's not like, you know, I did it and then the only problem is that I couldn't really sleep last night. I'm trying to fix my sleep schedule since a while now. And yesterday I went to bed rather early, like just before 11 p.m. So I wanted to get a lot of editing done in the morning, and then and all that other stuff. But I just couldn't sleep for 4 hours, and then I finally could sleep at 4 in the morning, and obviously I could not get up at 6, which I planned. So I slept in, unfortunately, and I just started the machine and then didn't finish. Hello.
Hello.
Stream is asking if you are angry because you are making so much noise in the kitchen.
No.
Mm.
I'm just doing the kitchen. Without anger.
No anger. I'll let you go, guys. Cleanup's the only thing that stops me from running Krieg. Oh, imagine, I'm imagining doing a whole army of that. I would probably have a nervous breakdown. Complain about the price point, which is a factor, but to me cleanup painting is the real bottleneck. Yeah, I guess. I mean, obviously it is expensive, right? It's no doubt denying that. Or there is no denying that. But yeah, just cleaning up a whole army. Obviously, I'm not made for that. And I congratulate everyone on their perseverance that ever did it. Did I throw a wash on this guy after the base coat? Are you just highlighting? You mean for the recesses? I did do some. I did add some black. I think it was even the standard button-up black. Well, when I say standard, I want to say that's the way Games Workshop does it. I think I just used that to dark line these areas, but it was just out of experimenting and trying to see how dark I can go, and I think it works. So I will definitely dark line these parts here, probably using black, but not a general wash. No, there's just some black that is way darker, so where I used a lot more of the, what is it, it's called Ritterlich Blue. That just makes it really dark. I didn't go, so for the highlights I didn't really add that anymore, so that's why it maybe looks a bit brighter, and that's why it looks a bit darker up here, I'm guessing. But other than that, yeah, just straight glazing and highlighting. Is that anything besides water and paint? Nope. It looks like it's staying wet for a super long amount of time. Yeah, the reason for that is I'm using a wet palette, as you can see, there is a sponge in a container. As you can see, the container is really old. It's like 15 years old, but still works. Just a sponge, 2 layers of sponge, and some baking paper on top of that, parchment paper. It's not the optimal approach because it doesn't really stay wet for days. I mean, when you put a lid on, it stays wet for maybe 2 days, 2.5 days, but not for a week, like, you know, red grass pellets and all those pellets, wet pellets do promise you. But yeah, it's definitely better than just using a dry pellet. That makes your paint drying like real fast. Gives me a bit more time to, you know, work with mixes, which I do a lot, so I do a lot of mixing for my colors, which isn't always the smartest thing to do. I'm just never happy with what I get out of the bottle. Or rarely. I think you're right, but even on the brush it's staying. Yeah, the brush thing. One thing that helps is that I'm using a rather large brush. It's a size 1 Raphael, and if you compare the Raphael brushes to, for example, Winsor & Newton. So let's take a Winsor & Newton size 1, then they are larger too, which means they do have a good reservoir, even though the tip stays really pointy. And the better your brush is retaining paint, the longer you can paint. And that's what I always say when people ask me what's the most important thing about painting. Then I usually say get some brushes that have a good reservoir, because just having to dip your brush into paint constantly is really annoying to me. So when I feel like the paint is drying in on the way from the palette to the actual miniature, then that's when I'm getting grumpy. But yeah, that's the reason for it mainly. Hey Spectral Images, I heard you mention the Spanish painting style in a recent interview. Can you elaborate? Did I? Wait, recent interview? In the podcast? So there is a lot of Spanish painters. I don't know who came up with it. I'm guessing it has been an adaptation of the French style, and just trying to find a way to quickly do a lot of commissions, finish a lot of box arts, which is achieved by doing some underpainting, like rough painting, like I did here, right? Maybe even rougher, and just less layers, and trying to move really fast and just establishing the volumes, and then doing some of the blending by airbrush, just airbrushing over that. I think that's what Sergio Calvo calls copy bases. It can also be done by brush, obviously, but with airbrush it's even faster. But yeah, it's a general approach of just working with volumes, creating stark contrasts really fast. Just not caring too much about smoothness, and just having that intense contrast everywhere, and also playing a lot with temperatures in your lights and shadows. That's what I would consider, or that's what I would call the Spanish approach. Obviously there's other people painting like that too, but the Spanish Armada just has made that style big lately. I guess it kind of started from the Spanish Forum that is now not, that is now defunct, I want to say. I don't think it's still existing. You're welcome. Oh, the podcast, okay. I have to sound stalkerish because Mayor's not about. Yeah, I might be asleep. Just something, or what I'm doing here when applying those last highlights, I don't really blend anymore here. It's just to have that highlight. I mean, it's maybe a bit too stark. Yeah, just having that last highlight here, really intense next to something that is dark, and not caring too much about that blend anymore. It's still going to look good, simply because your eye really focuses on high contrasts. Our brains just like those, and basically your brains are going to tell you that looks good, and it's also going to blend those colors together, because it kind of looks like, there's some light reflecting on that edge. So the Spanish approach does take your brain's the way your brain works into, or it takes advantage of how your brain works and how your brain fills in certain things, as long as you give it credible contrast, and as long as you can fool it into believing it's looking at something where it can interpret, and that it knows, and that it can interpret as something that it knows. So part of that painting approach does also take that into, or employs that. And obviously there's different ways to achieve that. I mean, for me, I kind of have a similar approach. I'm not that focused on being quick, because I obviously do like the process of painting more than the result. If I were worried about being fast, I would just do all those blendings with an airbrush. Also, in the end, when doing Golden Demons, you definitely want to make sure that all your blendings are smooth. And typically when I when I paint Games Workshop stuff. I mean, other than this, obviously, this is mainly just for fun. I do take care. I do make sure that yeah, I could potentially enter that a golden demon, which means you really want to minimize the possibility for some judge to interpret something as a mistake, as in maybe a rougher blend. Just different approaches and different goals, I guess. But in the end, it's always a question of how do you want to paint, what do you enjoy, and everything else is just really secondary. Do whatever you enjoy. That's the most important thing. Got the app for Twitch. Hopefully this will work okay now. I hope so. At least I can read you. Twitch on mobile, what a heresy. When I load my brush, are you dabbing the excess off? So, apologies, it's going to be a bit out of focus, but generally what I do is I load the brush and then I just do this like once and then I'm good to go. No runniness. Just wiping once over a paper towel usually does the trick. No, only when am I using that? Only when I'm doing washes, as in, you know, filters and that stuff, when I want the surface tension to be broken. Yeah, also when doing freehands, I occasionally do add some dish soap just because the surface tension becomes more intense in smaller, when the area where you want to apply your paint becomes smaller. So just to avoid that. I mean, you could probably do it, and it's a bit like a glazing medium. It works a bit like a glazing medium. Don't really enjoy that, or I don't really like the way that looks. That part here. Guess just that cylinder just is warped a bit. Well, basically this is a cylinder, obviously. The way it curves, and it just gets warped a bit because of the surrounding, you know, sphere like up here. This is obviously also a cylinder that's maybe a bit more spherical than this, so maybe got distracted by that a bit. right? So that's what I mean, just glazing over the whole thing with a mid-tone, draws it together. And then we can add another highlight color. I use flow aid. Yeah, I personally feel like I don't need those things, but it's perfectly fine if you feel like it's improving the way maybe it, you know, the paint flows off of your brush or something like that. It's perfectly fine to experiment with that. But yeah, if you feel like that could help you, then before you go buy some expensive flow aid, I would recommend trying it out with dish soap. Just the tiniest tip of dish soap mixed in with your paint can simulate the effect of having a flow improving medium. It looks really pretty, just like you. I just saw that. You're a crazy man, dude. Do you find the brush is not loaded enough? Oh, when the brush is not loaded enough, it starts to split and lose the point, especially when using the larger size brushes. Yeah, the Raphaels are on the larger side. We just said that earlier. So I don't know. I mean, when I load my brush and then it dries out a bit, if that makes sense. Then you have some splitting hairs, but usually the point doesn't split. No, you have like the odd stray hair. I could really replicate it right now if I feel like I am getting the effect, and I can show you. But typically no. You might have too much paint in your ferrule, or gotten up paint. You have gotten paint up your ferrule. That sounds wrong for some reason. So try some brush restorer, obviously some brush cleaner, and then some brush restorer. Maybe that can fix it. I feel a bit uninspired on what to do with this foot, but I think something like that. Okay, that paint was too runny. Yeah, as it dries. Yeah. Again, I would try to try and clean the brushes thoroughly, and then maybe get some brush restore. It could be a sign that you did damage your brush a bit. I mean, if it came like that and you can still, you know, it's still within a reasonable time to send it back, then I would do it. You know, tell them that's how they came and that's what they're doing right away. If you don't feel like you did something wrong to the brush, that is. But again, giving it a thorough clean before is probably a safe bet. Whoa. What drying retardant do you use? None. I don't use any. The only time I use drying retarder is when I do freehands. There's a couple of videos of me showing that. So when I do freehands, the reason for using drying retarder is that I can wipe away what I just painted. So just in case I have a bit of a slip, or I mean, let me say that more precisely. When I'm sketching out my freehand on the actual model, then I'm using drying retarder. So I don't really use it for, once everything is established and all my line work is done, then I'm blow drying it and I'm making sure it's completely dry, and then I continue to paint over that. Obviously the reason for using drying retarder there is if my line work isn't good and, you know, I made a mistake or something, I can just use water and wipe it away. But other than that, I don't use any drying retarder. Doesn't really fit my painting style, because I need the layers to be dry when I go over them. Hey Magenta Mouse, sneakily watching from work. Oh my god. Me too, but not muted, just about to set off home soon. Someone tell Magenta Mouse I said hi. If he has the stream muted. Hey Node Kaju, I should try using retarder when I do edge highlights. Why? Educational moment here. Why do you think you need to do? Oh, so you're able to wipe it away again? I mean, it's worth a try. Maybe. I would say try to, I mean, this is a bad example here because this is not really an edge that would illustrate, that would illustrate what I was trying to say. So like that. But if you have an edge like this, or say like this, what you should try to do is try to position the miniature in an angle that allows you to work with the broadside of the brush. You know, obviously, maybe you already do know that, but I'll just say it regardless. So that you can just use the broadside of the brush. That way, if you're not putting too much pressure on, or by varying the pressure, or the amount of pressure you put in, you can vary the thickness of that line. Obviously, if you put more pressure on, then your line is going to be thicker. So that's what I always recommend to people starting out with edge highlighting. Obviously, that's not always working, but then yeah, you kind of have to find a position of the hand. I'm always resting my hand like this on my other hand and just dragging like that. Same principle. If I push harder, the line gets a bit wider, and I usually tend to put a bit of a, I mean, maybe this is not applicable for just edge highlighting, but I usually tend to put a bit of a thicker line just where my highlight runs down. That just adds a bit of an interesting effect. Thanks, Slippery. So I can wipe it away. Yeah, I mean, you could try it. I can't promise it's going to work properly, but yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, once you are happy with how your line turns out, you can always just use a blow dryer and go over that. Hey, Genuine Vision, how are you doing? Oh, look at that. See, Slippery. There we go. It feels like when the brush is dry or not loaded enough with actual pigment, then that happens occasionally. But again, it's, for me, it's just split hairs, and I'm not too worried about it. Just means I need to clean the brush a bit. So it shouldn't do that for your tip. I need more paint. Obviously, if you guys, oh wait, why is that not working? Oh, my bot is not running. Sorry, Genuine, I tried. So if you don't know Genuine Vision, obviously go check him out on Twitch. I'm not up to date on what you are painting, so please give me an update. Wait, I need more paint. Let's see, does that show on the palette? Yeah, you can see the blues. They have that weird, can't really show it in a proper way, but they have that tendency to feel a bit gooey. The Reaper blues, that is. Most of them do, so that's a weird effect, and I'm not entirely happy with the blues from Reaper, but I guess that just shows that if you will end up liking some paints better than others, even within a range. That was not the blue, though. Then again, yeah, probably not a good idea to switch halfway into painting the model. Hey, Modular. Wait, what did I have as a highlight color? It was not military blue. I think it was ashen blue. So I tend to come back to ashen blue. For a lot of things. Blueberry Marines. Yeah, so right now I'm thinking I'm probably going to be toning down most of that, and then we're going to shade. But right now I just want to establish, like I said, the lighter areas, and then we can always go darker again. Just one thing that is a tiny bit annoying is that I'm always, or let's put it that way, there's always areas that are way ahead of other areas. So for example, this side of the leg compared to this one, or the knee area compared to the upper leg. But yeah, that's just the way I'm painted, so guess it's a bit weird to watch it. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you're confused about something, then like I said, feel free. Right. I'll just keep doing this, trying to find the correct highlight spots, or credible highlight spots for all different areas. Something we completely did not do is the trim up here.
Kannst du die kurz bei Amazon Prime einloggen, bitte?
Yikes. Yeah, overall, I don't think the typical Games Workshop Crimson Fist doesn't end up this highlighted. There's more of that blue, dark blue in the midtone. So we'll see. We'll see how people like that. But yeah, just in general, just wanted to do that experiment and go a bit brighter. Just for the sake of trying. I'll just gradually bring up all the different elements to a certain highlight level so that we can see the overall impression. Always tricky to do these fine lines on camera because I don't really know if I'm hitting the right spots. But yeah, it's also for these things it's totally good to have a brush with a reservoir, because if you're what you need for this is actually brush or paint on your brush to stay wet and to come off the brush the way you want it to, because if it doesn't do that, then either you're going to not apply any color at all to where you want it to be, or the other problem could be that your paint is too runny and it comes off the brush too much. That would screw things up too, of course.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
I'm pending off. Thanks for joining the Major League. Welcome to the stream. That almost scared me. Thought my allergies were turned off. Sorry for the startle, it's fine. Yeah, doing fine, thanks. Just trying to get some work done for maybe another heavier than metal video, even though I'm kind of suffering the same effect as always, not really painting too methodical, just too much jumping to and from. But yeah, I guess that's just the way I paint in the end. But yeah, how are you? Thanks for asking. That line ended up being too wide. Oh. Too much water on the brush. Yeah, so didn't pay attention once and it's a tiny bit ruined, but we'll just have to work over it, I guess. Just trying to sneak some work in while my son naps, I see. Yeah, so the story of a hobbyist's life, I guess. When the kids come, hobby time drops. Can't really get any straight lines, I don't understand. But that's what I mean, sometimes Reaper colors come off the brush a bit. Or they don't really like to come off of the brush properly. Right, so if you are watching for the first time, don't forget that it's perfectly fine to ask questions if you have any, regarding what we are doing right now, or just general painting questions. It's fine to just ask them. That's what the Monday streams are for. So that whole thing is ended up being really intense, really bright. That's what I mean compared to how Games Workshop usually paints their Crimson Fists. Hey Jen, did you tell me what you were working on? I might have missed it, or you didn't hear what I said before. So I said I haven't really been able to follow what you are doing. Ironically, it seems like with your new streaming times, it seems like I'm able to catch you even less than with your old ones. Even though you are in my time zone now, or close at least. I had an issue with the glazes I'm repainting. I see. Yeah, one thing that sometimes happens to me, or you know, not so much anymore, but used to happen a lot, was, for example, I was painting squads for game stays or golden demons, and I felt like that my standard, or that, you know, the first one that I painted is not really to the same standard than the last one that I painted, so I had to go back in and repaint some of the first ones, and that kind of ended up in a circle doing that a couple of times. Back to the areas, to some other areas that have not received the same treatment yet. Still new to glazing, it works for certain things, but I'm learning still. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing. So a lot of it really comes down to experience with glazing, because it's so multi-level. You need to figure out how much paint you should have on your brush. Yeah, how much it should be diluted on the palette and so on. So just keep at it, and it's going to get better for sure. But yeah, I'm trying to use more opaque layers for at least the initial parts. You know, up here, for example, I definitely don't need to glaze that, you know, 100 times. Can perfectly well just establish the light up here first, and then work on the transitions. I might even do that lighter. Yeah, this brush definitely needs some cleaning. Yeah, also sometimes what I keep doing is I'm just pushing a few pigments here that are not really, well, going to cover anything. So sometimes I just need to force myself to start new. Wait, that's not the gray that I was using. Yeah, just mix a new portion of colors. Kinda glad I didn't glue on the head this time. It's just always, I mean, the thing is, I want to paint in as many sub-assemblies usually as possible, but every time I do glue on a Space Marine helmet before painting the rest, I just hate myself a little. That's probably too light. Always a bit tricky to highlight these edges because they're not really, well, they are really wide edges. It's like almost 0.5 millimeter there as compared to maybe this edge that is really crisp. It almost feels like there's a plane inside of this edge, so that highlight always comes out a bit stark, but I think it's okay. Maybe highlight this side a bit more careful. Then of course these exhaust vents. So everyone has gone quiet. What are you all working on? Really looking forward to finishing this conversion of the Nurgle. What is it? Lord of Contagion. Yeah, it's done. Paint them up for the Golden Demon. So this time, I'm not sure if I'm going to cover everything with videos on this guy, but I'm definitely going to make sure that every step by step is covered in the PDF that's going to come out about him. But yeah, I mean, hopefully the conversion goes well, because if it doesn't, and if it looks stupid the way I'm imagining it, then that yeah, might be the premature demise of that golden demon entry. Well, we'll see. Yeah, again, I'm not going to paint much of my golden demon stuff on stream, simply because everything that is painted on stream is just that tiny bit less good than if I'm painting it off cam, for obvious reason. Obviously I cannot be as close up as I want to, and I'm always pulling out that example of when you're going to the Olympics. Obviously you want to run the 100-meter sprint. Obviously you don't want to put any extra weight on your shoulders, or on your body, because you want to beat that time. So I'm going to do a couple of Patreon videos about him, but I can most definitely not stream it. Maybe a few things, but or maybe shorter streams with the magnifying glasses on could be an option, but we'll see. Probably, like I said, I'm totally going to cover it for Patreon, but unfortunately, like I said, these streams will have to do with stream dedicated miniatures, which I feel there's still a lot to learn from that, but I always have to look out. But I also have to look out for actually when I really want to compete, then obviously I have to make sure that the entries are up to the standard of other people that don't share their stuff with the world, and just try to put in as much work and try to make it the best result possible. Hey new guy, thank you. I've been working on him, Imperial Confessor limited edition. Oh, that one looks good. Lots of details. Is that 3D sculpted, or is that just does it just have the feeling? Yeah, interesting. He has a lot of trim. That's true. No armor panels. Yeah, that's what I also didn't like initially for this guy, because I feel like there's not going to be an awful lot of focus on the actual panels. But that's okay. I guess we can just try to have the elements, or the few elements that are in the front, like this, the belly and all that, make that really intense, and then also that gold trim up here. Just do something with that. Yeah, it's going to be fine, I guess. But reason why I prefer Space Marines, just plain Space Marines, is because you can do so much blending and do interesting things with the panels themselves. The biggest mistake I made in the first year of trying to paint to a higher level was trying to glaze everything, and it took forever to see any changes on the miniature. I thought that's how the best pros paint, so that's what I tried to emulate. Yeah, again, I mean, so I like smooth results, and obviously I do use a lot of glazing, but I try to start out with contrast, and then you can always tone down transitions again. and make them smoother. And that's what a lot of people do. Not all, quite some of them do still prefer to paint everything with glazes. Or, you know, I mean, David Soper, for example, just tries or likes to paint a lot of his stuff with just texture on everything. Everything is just pixel after pixel after pixel. Yeah, it's there's a lot of different approaches. But yeah, definitely not everyone just does a lot of glazing. I mean, I would consider myself, I guess I do a lot of glazing, but I usually only do a lot of glazing for Golden Demon entries, because you want that smooth result. If you look at what Darren Latham and Max Valleche paint, that's basically what they are looking for in Golden Demon entries, or just in that direction, and you really want to minimize errors, or what could be perceived as an error, which, you know, obviously some hashtags
Nice to meet you.
make fun of. Tim Wickens, I'm probably slaughtering your name, sorry, but thanks a lot for following. Welcome to the community. You have any questions, feel free to ask. That's what the Monday streams are for. So there's other competitions that definitely put a different focus on what they are looking for, but we are also going to talk about that on the next podcast. So make sure to check that out if that's interesting to you at all. Now I just have to wait. They are in the maze of trim. I airbrushed it. Now I just have to pick out the trims. I see. Hey Chris, I have 2 questions. Go on. Yeah, it's
Nice to meet you.
Hey Oogie 128. Thanks for following. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Yeah, in the end, it's what you need to do for, like I said, for game days. That's what you have to do if you want to win something. Where's your podcast hosted? I'm doing it on YouTube. I did upload it to I'm pretty new to uploading them to actual podcast sites, but I did upload them to, hold on, Podbean, and I'm guessing the SSR feed. Wait, how do I do that? My podcast is also putting it on iTunes, but I'm not sure. I tried to do it. Okay, this is dashboard. Honestly, it's probably best to check it out on YouTube at the moment until I figure all this out. Where's this? Is all back end. Is it maybe just that? Hold on, give me a second. Okay, no, that's, I want to do it without dashboard. Why does it say 2 episodes? It seems like this. does work. Yeah, it's hosted on there. So I don't know how to check with iTunes, honestly. But yeah, that's where it hosted, and then obviously YouTube. I mean, watching it on YouTube also obviously gives me view time and pushes my content and so on. So if you want to help me out, I would totally appreciate it if you watched it on YouTube. But it's also, I'm trying to put it out on different platforms. Like I said, some people were pretty pissed off because I said it's the first miniature painting podcast on YouTube, and then apparently there's more, but I couldn't really find them. I guess they have to work on their keywords, maybe. But I tried to do some research, and then people, well, I didn't find anything, and people took offense by me saying that it's the first one. But yeah, it did kind of get me looking into other options to host a podcast. So I'll try to get it to iTunes, and obviously this other podcast site. I don't know which are the best ones and which are the ones you should be on. So let's see, what questions did Chris have? Love this blue. What are the colors? So I started out with a mix of this. I mean, honestly, if you go back to the VOD, it's going to be explained better. But this is, wait, where is it? This is Ritterlich Blue.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
With Kimanji Kid. Thanks for joining the Major League. Welcome to the community. But yeah, that's this blue. Then I have this other blue that is brilliant blue. And I mixed a bit of deep ocean into it. I guess this is equivalent or almost equivalent to dark sea blue. I might be lying, I don't have it here. Well, yeah, it's not really as dark as the dark sea blue, but it adds the same effect. So that is the slight dark blue here that you see. That's what I started from. And then I just mixed in ashen blue, so some bluish gray, and this is an off-white. That's the recipe. And yeah, I'm considering not going as light as I did, but first of all I just want to establish the same values everywhere, and then I can always go back down, and I definitely also need to smooth some areas, obviously. What's that? 2 questions? No, it wasn't. Where's the second question? That blue looks dope. I just get home. I wanted to listen to the podcast. Will do so tomorrow on my way to work. Well, there you go. Hopefully. Well, yeah, it's going to be long enough, unfortunately, for your way to work. It's up to you. YouTube must have missed the upload. Yeah, so if you're watching, guys, definitely go to my YouTube right now. Go to my YouTube right now and click the bell under the videos where it says activate bell to, or where it says subscribe and then the bell next to it. You definitely want to activate the notifications because, yeah, I mean, while my schedule is every other Friday, and this time I will have, or this month I'll probably have an upload every Friday, but every other Friday is my schedule, and you can just check back every Friday. It will still notify you when there's something new, which it doesn't if you haven't activated the stupid bell. Is there any website you think is good to check out miniature paint jobs like Warhammer Culminant seems dead? So if you type gallery, you can go to, this is obviously linked to my Putty and Paint, but you can just go to the start site, to the home site, homepage, whatever you call it, and go check out these. Those are typically more high quality box art uploads, and there's always that small, how would you say it, barrier, or people are shy to post their own stuff there because they feel like it's not to the standard of the site, which is kind of sad, because that's in the end it was what the site was intended for. It wasn't just intended for box arts and all that, but you do find a lot of cool stuff there also for Warhammer and, you know, Age of Sigma and all that. Other than that, I really don't know. Does anyone else know any good sites? I mean, obviously you can join all the Facebook pages like Heavier Than Metal and what else, 40k, Warhammer 40k, but I just don't, I'm kind of fed up with how Facebook works. It's like there's something posted and then it just goes down and then it's lost. So like I said, just a bit unhappy with how these Facebook things work. But yeah, I can totally see that Cool Mini or Not, this has had its highest time and it's maybe now on the decline. On the decline. I haven't really posted there in a while. So the last thing that I posted was, I think, one of my busts that did pretty well on Putty and Paint, and I just posted it on Cool Mini or Not, and I think it didn't even get to a 6, which is kind of ridiculous. I mean, obviously I'm not thinking I'm God's gift to the world when it comes to sculpting, but yeah, a lot of people like the bust and also bought it, so pretty sure it should rank a bit higher than that. But yeah, that's just how Cool Mini or Not works a lot of the time, and that's why I, you know, with all the jealousy and sniping and all that, I left that. Well, I didn't leave. I still have an account there, but I'm just not as active anymore as I used to be in the early 2000s. But yeah, I guess every platform like that has its ups and downs. Yeah, sorry I couldn't really help all that much, but Putty and Paint is, or Putty and Paint is still a good resource to go to and check out. Second question was if you have any advice on gap filling tapering. Well, gap filling I just use Milliput standard. I'm not quite sure what you mean. If you're just asking for a material, that is good. I like Milliput because you can, you know, obviously fill the gap. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can fill the gap and then just sandpaper it, and it will just behave like the plastic, and you will get super smooth results. Obviously here I did use some very fine grain, like I think 2000 grit, is that what you call it? Yeah, a grit of 2000 on top of that just gives you a really smooth result. Yeah, that's what I'm using. It's probably not the best. Oh, also I apply it with a color shaper. It's probably not the best if you only have steel tools. So steel tools on top of that can be a bit of a pain, but I'm still applying the first layer with my sculpt tool, just moving that over the the mold line like that, not the mold line, but the part where the two parts fit together. Yeah, just over the gap, and then I smooth it like initially with the color shaper, and then I sandpaper it. Not quite sure if that answers your question, but maybe it does. Hopefully it does. Okay. Where were we? Oh wait, I think I did not answer a question. What can I ask? What this is? What is this Instagram? Oh yeah, that's my. So we're talking about this. The Kimanji, I don't know if you're still here, but this is my Sylvanas sculpt. There's, I think, let me count the ears. So, two, wait. Oh, that's wrong. Screwed that up. So I have exactly, so I sold one of them this morning, then two. Yeah, I have two of them left. There's two left. That I might be able to part with, because they were sold, but you know, people didn't come through with the payment. So yeah, if you're interested in it, just write me a PM. Initially they were all sold, and like I said, unfortunately I had two people that wanted them but didn't pay, and I'm guessing they're probably not going to come through. So I did end up having two more to sell. Whoa. What was the sandpaper tool? Sandpaper tool? I'm not sure what you mean. I don't have a sandpaper tool. The two tools that I showed was this brass tool that I use for sculpting, and that's my color shaper. So it just has a silicone tip that is smooth. Yeah, that you can use to smoothing out putty. Some areas are hard to sand, so a lot of times I see the edges of the putty and gotta do weird stuff to fix it. I don't know, I mean, I do bend, you know, I do take sandpaper and then maybe bend it like this to get around corners, so like that. Or what else? Sometimes I just cut out. For example, like here. So cleaning this area in between here, I usually just cut out a strip like that, and then just roll it together. Just roll it up like that, and then I can just take that and put it into the gap and just, you know, sandpaper back and forth. I don't know. Yeah, I would have to see what exactly you are referring to. Okay, so slowly catching up with all the rest. Bringing the rest up to the same intensity. It's always, as soon as I open like one tab in Chrome, everything goes crazy. I think you were like DD78 play 4 question mark. I don't know what you mean. Question mark, question mark. Yeah, just in the end, I guess we will have to. I will have to see how long I'm working on this already, but I think it's like maybe 6 hours. I spent about 10 to 11 hours on the yellow Space Marines armor, so I think we have some time left. But I also need to paint the helmet still, so better not take too much time to smooth everything out. So if I missed it, but how do you judge how thin to make your paint for these highlights? So I do have a video on layering and glazing. I always recommend people that have that question to go there first. But yeah, in general, it's, in the end, it comes down to experience, which sucks as an answer.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Wow. Effects. Thanks for joining the Major League. Oh, Effects. Thanks for joining the Major League, and welcome to the community. I didn't understand the mini site response. You posted a link on your channel. Do you maybe have that link again? Because I don't know. I don't remember what I did. But yeah, just general pointers that I give people that ask the question is, first of all, go check out that video for sure, and then my way of painting is thoroughly explained in the basics videos that I have on Patreon too. So if that is an option for you, obviously, getting the full in-depth hours that are on there is definitely worth it. If you want to get into glazing, other than that, I pick up color with my brush and then I just drag it over the paper towel, and then I can double check on my thumb how thin I want it to be. So obviously this is a very thin glaze consistency. I can also do, when I want to paint a highlight, I can do a more thicker opaqueness, obviously, and then Can fade that out by adding more water and going over that. So in the end, you just have to, you know, you can wipe off your brush, double check here how thin it is, but then in the end you still have to try it on your actual miniature. So you might want to start thinner and see how it behaves, and then you see how opaque it is or not. So like this is a really thin glazing consistency. I used to paint everything like that, and you can see that there's obviously very smooth results, but sometimes you want to go more intense. And just apply a more opaque layer. And then you go back a notch and just use a thinner consistency again, just go over that. And obviously this is just quickly demonstrating it, but then it gets smoother again and gets blended together a bit more. And yeah, you just, I mean, someone can show it to you, but you will never understand it properly until you try it yourself. And I would recommend to try it a couple of times on a test model. That's the best way to find out yeah, what consistency is good for you. Also, it just varies so much. Some people like the approach of actually using 7 million glazes, like Chris for example does. Others don't like the smoothness at all, and they just want to apply starker highlights and don't care too much about smoothness. And obviously, you know, there's a lot of different ways to paint or results, and none of them necessarily is better than the other. It's just different. Most of the time it's just different wants and needs. Thank you, Didi, for the compliment. Glad people enjoy it. Check it out. Trying to glaze Lucius pink armor. Struggling with bright glazes on small edges. I wouldn't. Yeah, so for edges, I wouldn't bother too much. Just, you know, obviously you can. And typically I tell people that it's good to vary the intensity of your edge highlights, but you can pretty much just, you know, go crazy with your edge highlights. Just use the wider side of your brush and then just do that. And there you go. Very thin edge highlight, really bright. You don't really need a transition there. Obviously you can do a transition, so maybe start with a medium blue here, and then that just gets brighter as it curves up here, and then you have that medium blue here again. But I wouldn't worry too much about blending on an edge. Just have maybe one less bright line that covers everything, and then you just use the brighter one to apply a bit of a more intense highlight. Ironically, I'm going to upload an edge highlighting video to YouTube next, well, not this Friday, but next Friday. Just trying to go a bit beyond the edge, highlighting that Games Workshop shows you. But obviously it's going to be a more basic video aimed at beginners. Right, but I'll jump off now. Thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, I still want to push the stream back 2 hours. Just really didn't work today because we are going somewhere afterwards, and yeah, I'll announce it. It just always shows. I mean, we have 20 more viewers now than we had during the first hour. Just shows that later is always better with Twitch. At least if you're in my time zone. So yeah, I'll announce that. Again, next stream's probably going to be 2 hours later. Make sure you take note of that. Yeah, thanks for the follows. Like I said, make sure that you hit the follow button up there or subscribe on YouTube. It's free. It supports me. And yeah, if you are interested in the in-depth tutorials, there's always Patreon. Yeah, and you know, even a Twitch Prime sub gives you all the Patreon PDFs as well. So just a bit of a sellout in the end. Yeah, the next video is going to be up on Friday, and next stream obviously next Monday. What is it, 6 p.m. Universal Standard Time? No. 6 p.m. European Standard Time and 5 p.m. Universal Time Zone. I'll see you next time, guys.